Three, two, one. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Morningscape Podcast. I am Matt Moody, joined by DJ Mitchell to break down a massive Thursday slate for NHL Daily Fantasy. DJ, how you doing, buddy?
It's been a really, really busy week for me as far as grad school goes. So I didn't even play the night we're recording, which is Wednesday night. Granted, it was an extremely small slate, but yeah, it's kind of nice to not be stressed out right now about lineups at 10-16 and just kind of enjoy the podcast and not be focusing on other games. So I think I'll actually be into the conversation more and not repeat anything you say tonight. But
Yeah,
we'll
I
see.
mean, nice. The nice thing is, well, actually, let's see. Anisimov just scored twice, which is interesting. But anyways, I was in the group me telling people like, nah, dude, don't play Detroit. Like Detroit's so not worth it. They're priced up. It doesn't really seem like there's a reason for that, and they go out and they score 7 goals. So I turned off the hockey, turned on the Ducks game just to watch my boy Brandon Montour, and it looks like since I turned off Chicago, they started doing stuff. But so yeah, group me A+ analysis there by telling you to just avoid Detroit. Um, I'll definitely eat the L on that one. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
you know,
can't say I can't say I'm not jealous of you right now. Not worrying about garbage lineups with garbage players. So
I just realized.
what's that?
My mic was not plugged in.
I didn't think so, but you are perfect
Why would you
again.
think?
So
I literally just was looked and oh, my red light's off, and I'm like, I never plugged that in. So sorry about the intro, me sounding probably like garbage. People are probably gonna be like, you sounded bad. Oh wait, there it
yeah.
is. So whatever. All right.
Well, we will see who the police are if they listen to more than a minute before they come yelling at us in the group me.
I don't think it'll be that bad, but it probably is just gonna be annoying. It's not gonna be so far off that it's gonna cause an issue.
Yeah, no,
We'll
it
see.
literally it sounded like you were with a baby, stuck underwater somewhere, unable to speak.
Sometimes I just do that. I just go underwater, aka accounting class. Okay, so to all the
All right,
accountants,
now that we've
out there,
wasted enough time,
I cannot do it now. New Jersey, Toronto.
that is a game.
That is a game that will be played tomorrow in what? In the old
In
Canada.
Toronto.
It's not the Air Canada Center anymore, is it?
No, it's something stupid that I
Yeah,
will
right.
not repeat.
No, I know it's dumb. That's why I'm
So
not
the Air
going to say
Canada
it.
Center.
It's the Air Canada Center. So in the Air Canada Center, and we do have some news from that game. So I will let you take Toronto, and I'll take New Jersey. So what's the news from Toronto?
All right. Well, first, DJ, let's list all of the games so that people have an idea of what to expect. So, real quick, New Jersey at Toronto, Carolina at the Islanders, Arizona at Montreal, Pittsburgh at Ottawa, Dallas at Tampa, Nashville at Minnesota, Philly at Winnipeg, Washington at Colorado, St. Louis at Edmonton, Vegas at Vancouver, Boston at LA, and Florida at San Jose. So there are your 12 games. And to get back to what DJ was talking about, New Jersey, Toronto, it looks like Austin Matthews should be back for the Maple Leafs. Clearly, that is good news for the Maple Leafs, good news for fantasy in general. Matthews is very, very good at hockey, a very good shot generator, and probably inserts himself as a top center play. I mean, debatable between him, Stamkos, Tavares, etc., but we can kind of touch on that the further along we go. So what was your news on the New Jersey side?
Thank you, reporter Matt. So, New Jersey, Travis Zajac should be, is I think definitely back in the lineup for New Jersey tomorrow on line one with Taylor Hall and Kyle Palmieri. So that definitely puts him in play. But didn't you have some power play news or something?
Yeah, what was interesting is that I didn't see official units, but the speculation was that Zajac was not going to be playing the power play because New Jersey's power play has actually been quite good, and they don't really want to mess that up. So certainly interesting from a fantasy perspective, how that might impact things. So
Yeah, no, I
it's a
definitely agree.
teacher. Yeah, it's a teacher and kind of, it hurt his value for sure. I'm not sure if he was to play to begin with because he wasn't on that first power play. Um, but that line last year was phenomenal. Like, yes, Heischer's been good up there, but that Zajac unit from last year, like, was like steady as it comes in daily fantasy, despite New Jersey being terrible. So now that New Jersey seems to be somewhat decent, or at least in the good graces of the PDO gods at the current moment, I really think that makes Kyle Palmieri a cash viable option at only 5.3, as he will be that third line mate with Hall and Jack, and he will be on the power play 1. So I think he's a really strong play that Zajac can only help. And then, I mean, DJ, do you have anyone else on the New Jersey side that you would be moderately interested in?
I mean, I feel like before Will Butcher got up to 4K, like I had some interest, but he really hasn't had the shot or block volume to even sort of warrant that kind of a price. Like his role is like a 4K guy, but his actual like production is really not. So I'm definitely steering clear of anyone. I think any defenseman in this game, really. Like I just don't trust any of them for cash at all. I mean, GPP is like if you're stacking, I guess. But on the New Jersey side, I mean, I never really hate Kyle Palmieri, and hopefully he kind of can come back to DFS relevance after the injury.
Yeah.
I mean, he has, I'd say, but
yeah, I mean, that's, I don't think we need to talk too much further about it. Like, Palmieri is a very good play. He's been he's been in the daily fantasy lexicon for literally years now. When Sahil used to play cash, Palmieri was like his favorite player of all time. And so, yeah, I mean, when Sahil was playing hockey, that feels like decades now. So, anyways, Toronto side, Matthews is back, which, I mean, do we know, like, who, is it any easier now to kind of pinpoint where the offense is coming from? I mean, JVR has been pretty awesome. While Matthews is out, I don't know if that was I don't know if that's a coincidence or not. However, his minutes still aren't quite there. So at 5.4 in a pretty good matchup, piping hot, like, are you going to play James Van Riemsdyk despite the low minute totals?
not in cash. I mean, I think he's in consideration in GPP if you want to stack him with Marner, but that's about the extent of that. I mean, them being down at this price seems like a savvy play, but I think I'd rather get Mitchell Marner in than JVR. Like, I think more people would be on JVR than Marner, and I think Marner has kind of just been like, I think he has a better upside in this matchup. I don't know. He just hasn't had the goals,
Yeah,
but I think he's had the shots. Like, I think he's like pretty. I don't know. I don't have like Corsica up right now. Like, what do you think about like their Corsi numbers? Like, who do you think is more dominant player? Probably JVR.
I mean,
but
JVR's been he's been one of the best per minute shooters like on the Leafs for, I don't know, for a while now. But I think it will be interesting to see what they do with their lines. Seemed like they had an optional today, or at least there are so many Toronto tweeters that I can't imagine that if they had run lines, not one of them would have tweeted it.
yeah,
So,
there's like 400. So yeah. I mean,
literally,
it's like you try to go through their Twitter, like you try to go through their like list, and like there's so many of them that they're retweeting all this other stuff. So like you can't really pinpoint what matters. It's kind of frustrating. They're my least favorite team. They try to figure out what's going on.
like,
There's like the most news, but it's cluttered.
The amazing thing about the Leafs is that, like, this weekend there's an article about them, like, on The Athletic, about the Toronto Maple Leafs Fantasy Football League. Like, these people will read anything about their team, and it's pretty amazing. But so,
yeah. Is there anything else from this game? I feel like we've I mean, like, let's just how about this? Like, how do you feel about this game as far as what we have 12 games tomorrow? If you, I mean, you don't have to put an exact number on where you'd rate it as far as like favorite game to play in DFS, but what range would you put it in? Like top tier, middle tier, or bottom tier as far as like how DFS relevant the game is?
I think it's definitely in the upper tier. I think the ticket should be high. I think that there's a few good value plays on both sides. I even think Matthews is in play. I don't like the matchup for McDavid, and I think there's definitely an argument to be made between like him and Tavares. Malkin, Crosby are there, but I don't think they're phenomenal plays by any means. So I think it's firmly ranked up in the upper tier. But did you move on?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think just if you want anything else, like I either join our group me or kind of just look over the HockeyViz page. I mean, you can also find that like Brian Boyle played on the second power play, or actually probably even their first. It's not really their first power play for New Jersey last game, but then again, like he's not really a DFS relevant player. So I don't know if that's like a play, but I would just say like kind of look over that stuff. And tomorrow, I think we'll get a better clarity on the game. But I do think it's important to keep that game in mind.
Yeah. All right. So let's move to Carolina at the Islanders. What I found to be maybe the most interesting thing looking at this slate, like the traffic, John Tavares, after being basically unstoppable through the first 13, 14 games of the season, hasn't really been the same sort of puck dominant player that he was. His last 4 games, he has only 2 shots in each of them, and he only has 2 points. I don't think you can say it's due to bad matchups because those teams were Colorado, Edmonton, Dallas, and then a St. Louis. St. Louis is actually his best game of those. So he's certainly not, he's not hot right now, I should say. Yeah, I think he's still a little bit priced up. So when I think when I said Matthews is the top play, that was kind of what I was referring to, that Tavares might be in a bit of a lull. But DJ, do you have thoughts on whether you want to target this first line, second line, none of the Islanders lines against the Carolina team that is really underperformed this season?
Yeah, I honestly I don't love this game. I don't really like the upside in it. I think that there would be some point chasers in on the like taking some Carolina guys, and I don't think the Islanders are that sound defensively. But I don't know. I really like this Carolina Hurricanes team, and their defense has just been really sound, and they've been spreading the wealth as far as minute goes. Like Hayden Fleury had more. Well, I guess a better way to say it, had more minutes than Justin Falk. Like they may have found like a nice gem in there in Hayden Fleury, who's also been playing really well. So. Yeah, I don't know if it's a total stay away from me, but some of these guys that were at pretty reasonable prices are now kind of definitely getting up in price for Carolina, and I'm just not that interested. I don't really want to target a line that could be blanketed by the Tavares line, who could definitely dominate possession, which would probably be Aho, Stahl, and Teravainen, who tore it up last game. People will probably be riding that. I think the only play from this game I'm considering is Skinner. Like he's kind of my top guy from this game, but it's more of like a one-off type of guy here or there than like a full. I'm not going to stack any lines in GPP.
Sure. Yeah, I think you definitely have a point there. I think my favorite play from this game overall is defenseman. I just don't really see why. What did Justin Falk do to deserve a 4,600 price tag? It's crazy. Like he hasn't put up points.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's just been a lack of production, but I'm sorry.
But the problem is I'm just not really sure where it all went. Like they've scored a decent amount of goals lately, and Falk's simply not been involved. His shot numbers are still relatively up. Like it doesn't seem like he's doing anything wrong. I just think he's kind of on the bad side of variance right now. So 4,600, I just really like that price, and it gets you blanket exposure to a game that obviously it could go off. And I think that Falk gives you some really good floor numbers for just a crazy price, in all honesty.
Any game can go off in theory. I don't know.
I mean, well, do you remember? I think last year these two teams played a 8-7 or something like that.
That sounds
Do you remember
familiar.
this?
No, I think that I think I know Carolina was involved. I don't remember where they played. I understand, right? Sure.
Yeah. Um. Anyways, okay, 8-4 last year. But
Hmm.
yeah, and then I think in the back because they played in a home and home, and in the next game, I'm pretty sure they played like 2-1 or something crazy like that. But I
Mhm.
won't waste any more time looking that up. One more play from this game. Um, I still think Matthew Barzal for 4,800 is a very reasonable play. Um, I mentioned it in my Sunday article. I do believe maybe Friday night on Fantasy Labs, and I ran a trend of saying like guys who were 3 points per 60, even in a small sample, with at least 2 shots on goal per game. They simply smashed their expectations in the upcoming games, and some of those names are guys like Draisaitl, Dadonov. You don't see them at 5K anymore. So I think Barzal, so long as he's playing on this first power play unit, is a strong play. He's necessarily cash viable. So, are you ready
Okay.
to move on to the next game?
Um. Yeah, I was gonna ask a question, but you know what? We can get to it later, so we'll move on.
Arizona at Montreal. Arizona still without a win. I believe they are. Well, sorry, a regulation win. I should
Yeah,
say.
I was
One
gonna.
in
No,
overtime, I think twice.
they aren't good at
we
hockey.
we thought it was bad being Sabres fans. So
Yeah, I
apologies
mean,
to the Arizona fan out there.
yeah. If we have any Arizona fans listening, like we feel your pain, just not as strongly, I guess. What are the Vegas odds of
So
this right now? There's only a minus 190.
only.
Yeah, I know, but like I expected higher to be honest. Okay. Yeah, back to this game. I mean, I'd say number one thing is I'm not playing Charlie Lindgren at 8-3. So that's my first note from this game. Matt, I'll let you take it from there.
Um,
Patches
yeah,
O'Houlihan.
other notes. Yes, other notes to keep an eye on. Yes, patches always. But Arturi Lehkonen reported to be out indefinitely. I did not see anything from today, like about his status for Thursday. It appears, indefinitely seems pretty morbid, and he's basically been shut down. So I don't think the word shut down means one game. And what's really interesting about that is that, Paul Byron went up to that first power play unit. But even more interesting is the first.
Who, Don, are you going to
Sorry,
play? Sorry.
I
You had
think
to
I,
make
I
a
think I
pun that
missed
was
it.
bad. Yeah, you were setting
Right.
it up, and I really wanted to slam it down. And I tried to think of a pun because those are always great.
No, well, I think I actually misspoke. But Paul Byron went up to the first line, and Charles Hudon went up to the first power play. So, DJ, do you want to
Yes.
tell us a little bit about Hudon and why you love him so much?
I mean, I've loved him, and you know what? The thing is I feel like I've been giving off that love, and then someone in the group me was like, "I feel like you backed off of it." I'm like, I never backed off. I just said if he's getting 11 minutes, I don't think I'm going to play him. But yeah, like Hudon has like really, really good metrics, and like when he's on the ice, he's had just a great Corsi. I don't know if he'll get eaten into by playing with Gallagher at all, but I really like them. I just like that line a lot. I just like Hudon playing on the what you called it. I mean, it's kind of like I'd consider it the first power play. Yeah, you got to consider it. He's with Drouin, Weber, Pacioretty, Shaw. So that's the first power play for Montreal, and I expect him to get around 17 minutes again. And I think he has a pretty good shot. I don't know if they call it lethal, but his numbers are just like all you want. And at 3.5, like you're not going to find anyone better. I mean, you can argue Paul Byron's in play at 3.4, but I think Hudon's just a better DFS asset than Paul Byron.
Um,
Now Paul Byron gets a
so,
hat
and,
trick, so.
so to back this up kind of with AHL numbers, in terms of shots per game last year, like Hudon was right up around the 3 mark. Some of the other names to hover around that 3 shots on goal, Anthony Mantha, Kevin Fiala, Timo Meyer, the last year's GOAT that we loved, Kevin Labanc, Sven Andrighetto. Like, there's a lot of NHL caliber guys right there. He was tied with Jake Gensel. So, guys who do shoot the puck a little bit. Perlini, Kyle Connor, Oliver Bjorkstrand, like all of those guys. So he's right in their tier. He actually had a better point per game than a number of those guys. Obviously, that's a bit more subject to randomness. So, anyways, he's just a really, he's a really nice play. And going against a pitiful Arizona team with first power play exposure for Montreal makes him a great play at only 3,400, 3,500. And the top play here will be one Mr. Max Pacioretty.
Yeah.
The guy is just scorching hot. He just shoots the puck like it's his job. I mean, technically, he does get paid a lot of money to shoot the puck. But like,
good
he's
one
of the
Moods.
best at it. No, thank you. I was saving that one up all day.
You're going to want to put that guy in cash. Like, you're just going to want to just start with that, I think. Like, he's a superior play to – I mean, I wouldn't say superior to everyone in his price range because there's one other guy we're going to get to in the next game that I think is also a really nice play at 100 less. But, like, Pacioretty does not break the bank. Foreshadow. On the Arizona side, is there literally anyone? I mean, there's got to be someone on this Arizona side that we can like throw out there. I mean, they've been kind of doing the Vegas Golden Knights thing where they're playing 4 lines at 5-on-5 and not really getting anyone huge minutes. So I don't know. I mean, Clayton Keller has come down a touch.
Larson kind of looks back.
Ooh, ELO.
I'm
just kidding. Oh yeah.
He's at 3 shots per game over his last 10. His minutes are up in the 25 to 28 range. And yeah, I mean, he's not a great play. He's not a must play or anything, but I think for 4,300, he's worth a look. But obviously, I have no interest in targeting Arizona. That's just playing with fire on such a big slate.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a chance Hjalmarsson does get back into the lineup tomorrow, but I did not see any news as far as like the particulars. I just know he's back on the ice. Schlemko has been back on the ice. So, I mean, like those two defensemen, not that they're even close to in play, just saying like his minutes could get eaten up a little bit.
Sure, yes. Schlemko on the Montreal side.
Yes.
Anyways, okay, that's a lot of time to spend on 3 games for a 12-game slate.
Yeah, we got to keep moving angry.
Pittsburgh at Ottawa. I guess the main note here is actually, do you have the lines pulled up? I never actually went back to pull up the Ottawa lines.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it was Hoffman, Brassard, and Stone in practice. That sounds about right. And then, oh man, I mean, I don't have it up right now. I just know that was the first line. I'm guessing it would be Duchesne.
Yes. Hoffman, Brassard, Stone, Dzingel, Duchesne, Bobby Ryan. Who cares? So, Hoffman, Brassard, Stone, very interesting. I think Mike Hoffman's the only one that I would even consider for cash games. And consider I will. I mean, he is also incredible at shooting. The shots haven't quite been there lately, but the points sure have, which is, I think with Mike Hoffman, we have enough of a sample to know that he is going to shoot the puck whenever he gets a chance, and that he is damn good at doing so. So, Pittsburgh, we saw them give up. I mean, they basically laid an egg against the Sabres defensively, and when you give up 4 goals to the Sabres, like, imagine what a real team can do to you.
Yeah.
And we've seen them many times this year just get caved in on defense. So while I think there's a lot of good value in terms of like Crosby and Malkin are not their normal 8,000, I think Mike Hoffman is actually the best value from this game just because he is an elite daily fantasy winger at essentially an upper mid-tier winger price. Again, in one of the best matchups for any forward. So.
Yeah, I'm really into the Stone Hoffman stack tomorrow. That's kind of like where I think I'll find at least one of my lineups having a stack. They correlate on the power play. Looks like they're gonna what?
You're gonna double down Carlson?
I mean, probably to
Nice.
most likely. I mean, that just seems like where it's going to end up happening. But yeah, I mean, there's some value we've already found. We'll probably find some more. Other than that, is there anything else on this? Schultz probably still in play. I think. Did you mention off the top that he's like? No, I think it was we were
So
talking like he's yeah. You just let you
yeah,
take it.
no, we were. So I mean, it's really there's really no science to what Pittsburgh is doing with this power play one, like first defenseman sort of thing. They are literally switching off Letang and Schultz like interchangeably. Letang got the majority of the work last game. However, late in the game when Schultz got his first power play one shift, scored, or actually he had an assist on the power play, but it was their first power play goal of the game. So like, that's kind of like a thing where maybe they're just going to ride the hot hand. But either way, I think that Justin Schultz is going to get at least some power play one time. And while the matchup's not great, 3,800 for a guy who has shown a good shot floor, he blocks a couple shots here and there, and with massive power play one upside for only 3,800 is by no means. I think you should absolutely consider it. I don't know if you need to play Justin Schultz, given that he's not necessarily a massive floor player or a massive upside player. But if you need a cheaper defenseman and he is enticing to you, I think you can absolutely still play him, even though it looks like Chris Letang got the majority of last game's work. Because again, like I said, of that hot hand effect, and last game it certainly did pay off for them when Schultz finally moved up to the power play one.
Yes, and then I like Crosby a lot tomorrow. Just throw that last liner out there. Like he's down at 7-3. I think he's in play. He's been getting like a ton of minutes. He finally broke the goal slump and still went down in price. So I think people will be off him, and I might just get on that bandwagon a little bit. So okay, we can move on to Dallas at Tampa Bay. Right, you're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
So Dallas, Tampa Bay. I mean, there was a little change in the Dallas lines. I'll let you mention it before we start.
Yeah, so we don't have practice lines from Wednesday. However, before the Tuesday game, they switched up their lines again after a trouncing from. They got trounced by the Hurricanes on Monday. Switched up their lines before Tuesday, and what they rolled out was Matthias Janmark, or alongside Jamie Benn and Alex Radulov, and then Sagan was centering, I think, Shore and another terrible player. It's actually escaping my mind which terrible winger it was.
Dickinson? Someone named Dickinson. That's the name that's on HockeyViz from last game. At 3,200, ye old Jason Dickinson was on the ice. He has a total of 2 shots on goal all year. So, yeah, put that one in your lineup if you're not busy.
Yes. So Tyler Sagan, very much not in play. Tampa might be the best team in the NHL. So, I don't think any of Dallas is really a good play, but I think Matthias Janmark, for his price, again, he is below 4,000, 3,700. I think he's a viable flyer in terms of a one-off to get some exposure to that Ben Radulov awesomeness. And Tampa's not the most shut-down defensive team out there. They very much do their work with one line, and that line is maybe the best that the league has seen in 15 years, which is pretty cool. So outside of Dallas, I don't think. Do you have any other takes on Dallas?
Do I have any other takes on? No. That's all. That's everything. I mean, I have nothing else to offer.
That is quite good.
And Tampa Bay is doing exactly what Tampa Bay does, rolling 11 forwards. The top line is unbelievable, as you mentioned. And, I mean, if you play the top line, I can almost guarantee line 2 is going to go off. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure why the pessimism on the Tampa side, because holy Jesus, this Tampa team has been good. Their first line. I mean, DJ, when did the first line hurt you?
No, I'm just kidding. It never did. I'm just messing. No, you're right. It's not even that it hurt me as much as now Nemestikov is like 6K. So, like, you literally cannot afford all of them. Like, Nemestikov's been doing really, really well.
Right.
And like the guy's over a point per game player with like recently just a ton of shots on goal and that power play one. Like, oh my God, he's just been so good. And like cannot afford him. Like, I don't know. You just can't get that line one in there, which is kind of sad. I mean, you could, but it's gonna be tough. I mean, I don't mind taking that line one at all. Like, Dallas is really weak
Yeah, I
defensively.
mean, it just doesn't even seem fair, like how good that first line is. I mean, so we're not breaking any barriers here, telling you that the Kucherov, Stamkos, Mestikov stack is probably the top line stack on the night. But it's simply a matter of, can you afford it? I think with the guys you mentioned, with Matthews, even with McDavid to some extent, with Crosby, obviously Crosby's a bit cheaper than he is. They all have cheaper line mates to go alongside them to kind of make the average cost like more palatable. Pacioretty obviously with Hudon, like that's a really cheap stack. Tampa's so expensive that you're gonna have to sacrifice a lot to make it work. So, I think you need to be rocked. I think you need to be absolutely positive that they are going to get you multiple points. And this is definitely one of the best matchups to do that. DraftKings has this as the number one opponent rank, which means Dallas has been the best against Nikita Kucherovs. I'm obviously joking, and I mean wingers, but that's just kind of ridiculous. Like, okay, DraftKings, like try and convince me to not play Nikita Kucherov in this matchup. Like, yeah, okay, you got me there.
Does that opponent rank, do you think, drive down ownership in any respect? It must. Just from like marketing classes I've taken, like I know that like seeing a red next to someone's name probably gets you like, whoa, I don't know. Like I gotta stop here. Maybe that's the key to daily fantasy hockey. Right. Just like people just like see it and they're like, I don't know, just because they see red. Have we discovered the theory to break DFS hockey?
Yes, we have.
I wonder. I bet there's a correlation between like players playing players with green next to their name just because it's green.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever like. I mean, I think I've been able to block it out okay, but I don't even know. Like, it could be subconscious.
Take it from DJ, guys. He knows his stuff.
Yeah, I mean, now I'm gonna get a master's in business administration, I know everything. So that's basically what it means. All right. So do we want to move on? I think we pretty much covered everything. Like, you can throw in Hedman if you have the money, but I don't really think he's that strong of a player. You're not. So okay. Nashville, Minnesota. So basically, Devin Dubnyk stopped letting pucks go in the net.
Yes, and I do want to point out this is the only 5 over/under on the slate. So
yeah. So Nashville last game though put a beating down on Washington with 6 goals, but Minnesota doesn't allow goals. I don't know. Is this a total fade? I guess that's the question. Is there anyone in this game like I feel like there's got to be someone, right, that we can be like, yeah, maybe, like, I could stomach, but what do you think? Yeah, so you're gonna ride that 4 shutout streak?
Yeah, I mean, so he stopped each of his last 103 shots, which is pretty impressive.
It's a lot of shots.
So it kind of sucks because I've missed out on 2 of those 3 games. I guess that's a hashtag humble brag, kind of, because I played once and got a shutout. But Devin Dubnyk is like, the Minnesota Wild plays such a sound defensive scheme that, at home, I think Dubnyk's always in play. And yes, his ownership might be up a little bit, but I think on such a massive slate and with some much bigger favorites on the board today, I don't think Dubnyk will be highly owned enough to make you say, like, yeah, you probably shouldn't play Devin Dubnyk. Like, you can obviously not play him on your own prerogative, but don't play him because it's like, oh, those shutouts. Like, I just don't think that's where ownership's going to go here at goalie.
Yeah.
People are going to look at Vegas.
Sorry, go on.
People are just going to look at Vegas and kind of jam in the biggest favorites, I think. Lindgren. Well, let's see. The biggest favorites, yeah, Lindgren. Against his old netminder partner, Ben Bishop.
There you go.
Last game. And even Vancouver's a bigger favorite. Like, things I don't think are going to swing towards Dubnyk being the chalk tomorrow, but we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I agree. It's really tough to pick like any like few players from this game that I like. I don't know. I kind of like
Let's
I
just avoid
don't.
it entirely.
Yeah, let's just avoid it entirely. I'm down for that. Okay, we can move on. Let's keep the podcast moving. Keep it grooving.
All right.
Let's stay on brand. Okay. We have Philadelphia, Winnipeg. Now this game a little more interest, I would say.
Yeah, we have the recency bias monster kind of chomping at the bit to attack whoever played Wheeler and company against the Coyotes on Tuesday night, got burned by them, saw the third line of Winnipeg just go nuts.
That Lowry Cop stack, you gotta have it. I mean, I don't know who didn't have it.
You got to cop it, right, Deej?
That's one way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't cop it be like take it from someone else? So then that wouldn't be it.
Well,
because like you would have done it and no one else did.
Semantics.
I'm gonna be the grammar police again this episode and say wrongo.
Sneakily a good point from DJ.
Noise. Okay, so back to the game. Let's get serious. Let's get down to brass tacks here. Who are you playing?
Well, the thing is, it's not a huge drop in price, but Blake Wheeler went from 7,800 to 7,300, and that doesn't suck. Getting a guy like Wheeler for as much of a discount as you want to call it, I think he has just as much upside on any slate as Kucherov, Tarasenko's of the world. Maybe not quite a McDavid, just because McDavid might have 11,000 points in a night sometime soon, just because, good God, that guy is fantastic. But Blake Wheeler is the perfect combination of shot volume, time on ice, and just overall, awesomeness at hockey that I think he's well worth a play at 7,300, especially if he's going to go any lesser owned because of what transpired on Tuesday night. Winnipeg is really, really good. We're just going to have to, knock out the notion that they're bad defensively. They're just rock solid.
Yes. And Blake Wheeler is going against his present tense cousin, Jordan Wheel. Now we have a narrative. So, all right, I'm in. Grammared. Okay, but really, all right. I had to do it. I thought of it, and I'm like, I can't wait for him to stop talking. I am so excited to get this point out. Okay, so yeah, basically, the Connor Scheifele Wheeler line did nothing last game, and we mentioned I don't know if I'm gonna have it. It could be a decent, but who knows? And I bet a lot of people, not maybe a ton, but some people probably had it and at least noticed it did nothing, and are not gonna play it. So I think it's the prime time to jump back on it. And on the Philadelphia side, I probably won't have much of anyone. There is a decent.
I'd finish.
There is a decent chance that Nolan Patrick comes back. I don't hate Voracek. I guess would be the one guy that I always kind of like and consider. But is there anyone else from you? Am I missing something? Some sort of news? I feel like you're about to jump on.
No, what I was literally going to say is that Winnipeg has been downright phenomenal on defense. Yeah. They've been literally the best team in the league. You see Hellebuck's been playing amazing this season. It's not just entirely that, he's been, standing on his head. He's had a really easy time back there. And, they're, like I said, they're literally just good. So.
Or Steve Mason revenge game.
Oh, that could be an interesting
narrative trait. But yeah, other than that, I think Gostisbehere warrants consideration as well, although he's kind of come down from the last couple of games, but it could be a good time to jump back on him. That's what the only Gostisbehere and Voracek are the only two for Philadelphia I'm considering, and then I think I'm going to consider that Wheeler Scheifele stack because I don't think anyone's going to have it, although it's going to be tough to afford, and I think there's probably better stacks at that price. I'm already worried.
All right, talking yourself into circles.
Talking myself in a giant circle. So now let's go to I think one of the most interesting games of the night, of the entire slate. And I say interesting because it's just there's so many things that are new to the Colorado lineup, and Washington's been so bad that it's well, like Colorado's got to be worse. Like, what's going to happen? You know what I mean? It's like I think this game is just really interesting as far as like like different plays that we have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Backstrom 5-5. You know what I'm saying? Like this is nuts.
Yeah, I mean Ovechkin is 7,400. Like that is something.
Like, these are all important. Like Ovechkin had 8 shots on goal last game against Nashville. Like none of them went in. His price drops 300. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something there.
So
Ovechkin's a good play.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of value on both sides here. The news that you were kind of hinting at, I believe, before, was that so Colorado made the Duchesne trade and they acquired Samuel Girard. And in his first 2 games with the team, he played alongside of Tyson Barrie and played on the power play alongside Tyson Barrie as well, playing over 20 minutes in both games. Nothing crazy in terms of like floor stats or anything, but minutes plus matchup plus power play one time certainly has me interested in Samuel Girard, who is like a legit blue chipper prospect on defense. And then maybe the more underrated player, but someone you mentioned, DJ, is like a really interesting fantasy name to keep an eye on. Vladislav Kamenev he didn't make it out to Europe for those 2 games, but he did get called up to the NHL. He will be playing tomorrow night, centering Nail Yakupov and Sven Andrighetto. Those 2 guys, they're not terrible. They're probably going to be this. Yeah, they're going to get second line minutes, I would reckon. And I certainly would not be surprised to see Kamenev play some power play time. So 2,800, like, might be one of the cheaper. He might be one of the cheaper plays on the entire slate, and I think that he is definitely stomachable if you just need a pure punt to save some money elsewhere.
Yeah, I think he's my favorite, like absolute pure punt. The other punt that I really like is Dmitry Orlov at 3,400. Like his floor stats have been pretty decent as of late, and he's been getting massive minutes, like more than Carlson last game. I mean, obviously, like Carlson's been getting the most minutes in the NHL, but he's got to be up there. I mean, 24, 24, 25, and 27 in his last 4 games, and that would be in order from like furthest away to closest. So it's been trending upwards. And he only has 3 points in 19 games, but like I'm saying, like look at his shots on goal as of late. Like if you just took his like last 5 games in a vacuum, like he has been playing like excellent floor stats. And like he had 1 puck go in his last 5. So I don't know. I think he's a really good price.
Yep. Just a tiny bit of news. I don't think it's really applicable to fantasy at all, but Taylor Chorney is coming into the lineup. Jews got hurt last game, so you see he only played 6 minutes. They were getting blown out, so Niskanen back, however, I think will impact the minutes pretty heavily. Matt Niskanen was playing 25, 26 minutes regularly before he got injured. So, I don't think it makes Carlson a terrible play, and I think Orlov as Niskanen's main partner and likely power play 2 partner as well, certainly remains a viable option. But there is some tempering of seeing 27 minutes from Orlov or Carlson going forward, just because there's another mouth to feed in that offense kind of situation.
I agree, but I think they're going to start moving towards like 4 defensemen getting a vast majority of the minutes, kind of like LA.
Sure. Yep.
We have to wait and see on that one.
I think they would be smart too.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Is there anyone else? Basically,
no.
Like we didn't really mention the Washington guys, but yeah, like that Ovechkin, Kuznetsov. You could even mix in Backstrom with it. I don't know, whatever you want to do there. Okay.
St. Louis at Edmonton. St. Louis just got they got their doors blown off back-to-back games by the Islanders, interestingly enough, and then the Flames. The Flames game was pretty innocent, and then all of a sudden it just took a turn for the worse. I'm not going to let 2 games kind of steer me off the notion that the Blues are like, a really good defensive team. So I'm not necessarily putting McDavid in like cash consideration just because I don't think the matchup's great, and I think Matthews is a better cash play, and I think that in general I'm looking to save a bit more at center. But TJ, what are your thoughts on the Edmonton matchup? Are you interested in some guys going against the Oilers? Like, we kind of saw a huge regression game from the Oilers against the Vegas Golden Knights, as obvious as it may sound in hindsight. Like, that was good to see from Edmonton, though.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you have McDavid in your lineup, it's always nice to see them just absolutely slam the door shut with a couple goals late. One interesting note is from this game in general, though, is that it looked like Steen, Stastny, and Tarasenko finished the game, but in practice, Schwartz was back with Steen, Schenn, and Tarasenko. So just to let you know, like, the lines did stay the same for St. Louis. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to say this game's a total fade, because I definitely think you have to consider Tarasenko in like every single like time you make a lineup. But some of the more like the cheaper guys that we mentioned, like Puljujarvi, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what this guy is. I mean, we only have 3-game sample size this year in the NHL, but he's definitely come back down to earth.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
You think in a blowout? You think in a blowout they'd give him more minutes?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not really sure. Like, it just seemed like he got the bad end of the stick there. So I guess I was a little bit early on that one. But,
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a wait and see. He has the talent, but until it kind of comes together and gets the minutes, I don't know. Other than that, I mean, I don't know. This game's interesting, but I'm really struggling to find players that aren't the usual guy, like the usual suspects, if that makes sense. Right? Could you consider Alex Steen? Or I'm saying like there's got to be someone else that we're like.
I
don't know.
Darnell Nurse. I mean, we don't talk about him nearly enough, I think, for like, what he brings to you and from a cash perspective. He's playing at least 20 minutes a night. He is putting a ton of shots on net, blocking a bunch of shots. 3,400. There are much dumber ways to just say, like, I want 2.5 points for 3.4. Give me it. Like, Nurse will give you that on most occasions, which is more than enough for him to meet value, especially in cash games. But he's certainly not flashy with not a ton of upside.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, yeah, I don't really think there's too many fantastic plays here. Tarasenko, like you said, obviously in play, but Ovi's cheaper than Tarasenko. Like,
yeah,
Kucherov is like just hotter than a firecracker right now. I really like Pacioretty, Hoffman. Like,
yeah,
I'm just not really sure I'm gonna take Tarasenko on the road, even with how dominant he's been and how gifted a goal scorer he is.
Okay, I'm okay with that. I'm not mad. You can live.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, moving on to, I mean, let me just preface this. I don't think I will have a single player from any of these last 3 games in any of my lineups. Like, these games are very unappetizing to me.
You're not going to play Ovechkin?
No. Sorry, the next.
The next 3. Okay, there you go. That makes way more sense to me. I was like, geez, that's really, really hot. Like, okay, all right.
Vegas at Vancouver.
I
mean, do you have anything noteworthy from this game other than an 18-year-old played in the NHL last night in net?
Dylan Ferguson? Yeah, I mean, good for him though, honestly. Like, he seemed to really, really, like, that's great. When I was 18, I was like, I don't even know what I was doing.
I hope I graduate high school.
Yeah, that's what you were saying, freaking Matt, with a 4.0. Sure you were. I really don't have much to say. Like, I don't mind Sven Barchi. Like, I just think maybe like his numbers haven't really been there, but maybe in a game against Vegas, like he's got such a good shot. And he just hasn't been putting onto that enough.
Right,
and I want him to shoot more, but that's all I got.
All right.
Brock
I'll
come
go
back.
kind of the other end of that, but let me quickly sort this out. But Colin Miller has been incredible.
Okay. All right, there we go.
Numbers. Like, I don't think he's a must play at 3.7, but if you're looking for a guy like who fits right into that model of like just shooting the puck a ton from the point, Ty Corsi for 60 on the season. Brent Burns at 21 leads all defensemen. Dougie Hamilton and Colin Miller are tied for second. They are both above 20 as well. Like, Colin Miller is shooting the puck so much. Power play actually has been pretty good, like in terms of obviously their scoring, but also like their chance generation. So with Miller firing the puck from the point, I don't think he's a terrible play in the slightest. Like, I think that his shots give you upside. He's playing enough minutes and he's been blocking shots. So I think his floor is there as well.
Yeah.
Against Vancouver, I have no problem with playing Colin Miller at 3,700.
I think that would be the only guy that might slip into my lineups as well. That's a really good point. I just kind of forget about him for some reason. I don't know what it is. It's like I forget he's on Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, it's
that's
just like I want
everyone's new.
Yeah, I want so badly for Theodore to be a thing that like it's kind of like, you know, like Theodore's not in. I'm not playing anyone.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. They're all bad if it's not Theodore. All right. So let's move on over to the Los Angeles Boston game. Was this none of the Stanley Cup matchup? No.
No, it was Vancouver.
Yeah, it was Vancouver, Boston, and then it was like, all right, whatever. You know what? It just feels like they played in the Stanley Cup because they won.
Wow. Speaking of Boston, they just went in with a 3-on-2, and Gibson made a hat trick, like rolling over in the crease, making a save. That was kind of cool.
Last night I came home after something, and my friends were just watching all of Dominic Hasek's highlights because they were so sad about the Sabres losing. And I've never wanted to cry more than like just people like say us Sabres fans, like we just had good things when we were young, and they just got taken and just slaughtered, and it's just. Okay, so Boston and Los Angeles.
Main
Marchand
news from this game. Yeah,
I was gonna. Brad Marchand's not gonna play. Dibs.
No, DJ beat me to it. So taking the Marchand role at least on Wednesday night was Peter Cehlarik. In the AHL, he had pretty good numbers. It feels like deja vu. Who was I just reading off with their minors? Oh, Hudon.
Yeah, Hudon.
I was reading off Hudon's numbers. Cehlarik, literally almost the exact same numbers, a little bit lower of a shot floor, but same point production. 0.69 primary points per game. I know DJ will enjoy that one.
Nice.
Hudon was at 0.62, so same age basically. So alongside Marchand Bergeron, I'll be interested to see what his end time on ice is on Wednesday night. But if it's up in the 15 to 16 range, I think he's a viable cheap play at wing. But the matchup definitely gives the edge to Hudon in this specific instance. So that's kind of the one play I would consider. Like, you know, you're not going to have me talk you off of the Bergeron, Pasternak, Cehlarik stack, but spending up against the Kings just never seems like a good idea.
Yeah.
And on a back-to-back, obviously, it's very tough to consider.
And they're going to get the Kopitar Brown treatment. So, I mean, I don't know. Kopitar has been playing so many minutes and been so lethal this year. Is it surprising? I mean, his price is way too high to play him, but like, are you even surprised by the 22 points in 18 games by Anze Kopitar?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a surprise. I think what's the main surprise is that like his shots aren't through the roof high or anything, but he definitely looked for the past couple of years like he was very much pass first, like not really going to reach that upper echelon. And it seems like this season, whatever John Stevens did to the team, like seems to have worked for him. I don't know if they're just playing off a better pace or if they're being more like creative in the offensive zone, which is helping his offensive production. But it certainly seems like Kopitar's found a sort of rejuvenation with Sutter out from behind the bench.
Yeah, I mean, you got Dustin Brown, point per game player at 5'6". I mean,
that might be the most impressive part of Kopitar.
That's the most impressive. Like, I mean, Dustin Brown, I know they haven't played the same amount of games, but he has more points than Brad Marchand. I mean, Brad Marchand's played less games. He's on a better point per game basis, but no one saw that one coming. Yeah, so I think out of this game, I totally agree with your original take. I'll have no one in this game. Um, I won't say like you cannot play it because I do agree with you that like I thought you said his name was like Chila like Chilarek. Is it Chilarek? Or is it just
Yeah,
Solaric?
I think that's what I said.
I don't
I
remember.
think it's.
I just don't want to say it wrong. Yeah, whatever it is, just we said it right. So I don't mind him, but like I'm not all over it. I'm never against the Pearson Toffoli guys. I mean, they're going to be going against pretty bad players if Boston like 1 and LA 1 match up, being like the Kopitar versus Marchand. So I don't mind those two as a stack. Other than that, like, that's
Yeah,
about it. That's about it.
the Kings are very priced up to me. I'm not really interested in the Bruins.
Yeah, no, I agree. We could just move on to the final game, which is like, I mean, Brent Burns below 7K. It's one of those things that I never thought I'd see as well. I mean, I've seen it because he's done it, but like, still there.
Okay, so I don't know if we have the time for this, but looking at his hockey reference page, it looks like it's pronounced Peter Seclarik? Seclarik?
So Clark. I mean, honestly, like I might just try to put the game on tomorrow because I'm gonna actually tomorrow I'm not gonna drink on Thursday and just like hang out and watch hockey and like do work. So I might just throw that game on for a little bit, try to figure it out.
Yeah, it looks like it's Tisech large. I'm not, no idea if that's right or not, but
Okay,
I'm
well,
just
we
gonna
can.
keep saying Chalaric.
Yeah, we'll move on.
Let's move on.
So back to my Brent Burns stuff. I thought you were gonna say something about Brent Burns, and I'm like, where are you going with this? Because that's not Brent Burns. 6.8, the lowest I've ever seen him. I think ever.
What are you
No
doing,
goals.
buddy?
No goals. All of the shots. I mean, he's got to have. I mean, clearly he has the lowest shooting percentage with 0, but like 65 shots on goal. None of them going in the back of the net. Only 16 games played. All of the minutes. All of the good opportunity. Is he broken?
Burnsy, where you at, boy?
Burnsy baby. Calling Burnsy. I mean, I think he like. I have the other thing is like I haven't been playing him nearly as much. And like I know I should be playing him more because like I know the numbers are eventually going to swing back in his favor. But I mean, is this the time to jump back on him against a pretty good defensively like structured Florida team?
All right, so Brent Burns is 12th in the NHL in shots on goal. The players above him and their goals on the season: Pacioretty leads the league, 7 goals. Ovi 13, Evander Kane 10, Tarasenko 10, Kessel 8, Kucherov 16, Tyler Seguin 8, Rick Nash 7 goals, Tyler Toffoli 8, Clayton Keller 11, Crosby 6, Brent Burns 0.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Like it's like it just doesn't make mathematical sense. Right? I mean, I guess you can argue that since he's shooting from a further distance most of the time, that like obviously he's not going to have 13 goals or whatever. But 0, like that's just that doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
It doesn't add up.
Yeah, and with as good as his wrist shot is, and how good he is at getting it through traffic on that like dangerous like it's got to change. Like Florida's been, I mean, I had no idea Florida was this terrible looking at the standings, but they have been. Their power play, I knew that was bad. So their power plays, their penalty kill's not good. Like maybe this is a Brent Burns spot, but I mean, sorry, like for 6,800, I think I'd much rather have Pacioretty, Hoffman. I just don't see myself paying for Brent Burns. Like, am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy, and that's the thing. It's like the numbers are leading to eventually him having more success, but I don't know if this is the best spot or the worst. It's an okay spot. I think it's just a fine spot comparatively to like I don't know. I honestly like I'm really gonna wait for the sim tomorrow and see where Burns is just look like lighting it up. I know he's always pretty high, but I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking in this game, I'm the one guy I am considering is Pavelski. I think he's really cheap, and he's another guy that hasn't maybe been performing at like peak Pavelski, but at 5,800, like you could do a lot worse. I mean, you could really stack up the San Jose top guys for pretty cheap, like Couture, Pavelski, Burns, and like you're hurting the bank, but you're not breaking it.
Yeah, I think that's how I would attack the Sharks if I were to. Like, I do think that on a points per dollar basis, they're pretty. I think they're pretty good plays, especially because we know that these guys are better than their prices. So being talent sensitive like that, and obviously price sensitive, is always a great thing in daily fantasy. So I don't think I'll be overweight on any of these guys like individually, but I think if I play multiple lineups, I likely will have like a San Jose stack of sorts, just because I think if you have, one of four lineups as a Shark stack, you'll obviously buy, I would say a good bit. I can't see Burns getting above like 15 to 18%, just because there's so many good plays on this slate. So
Yeah.
I think that's how I would attack it. But
Is there anyone
of the really cheaper guys stand out to me on the San Jose side?
No, me neither. But is there anyone on the Florida side before we shut it down and go to the G goals?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. There's too many plays on this slate that even though Barkov, Huberdeau, Dadonov have been outstanding, I think this is kind of the Tampa Bay situation, like where they're all so expensive, and it's simply not easy to get like basically a breath of fresh air or like a guy who's cheaper to make it easier to fit into your lineups. That I just think you're really will, I guess, lineup equity, if I can invent a term on the spot. I think
Sure.
you're kind of wasting it by playing Florida here, just because San Jose's not bad. Like, they're just really, I guess, low-scoring games as of late.
You think they're sneakily getting up there in what they should be doing?
Yes, DJ. Yes.
All right, so let's G some goals. Am I right?
Correct.
Do you have anyone off the top of your head currently, or should I just make a sharp and/or however you feel take?
I mean, I will stall to save you some time to think of your selections, but I have mine all ready.
No, I'm ready. I'm ready. You go.
Right.
Go.
Right,
No, you go first. I want you to go first. I always go first.
Give me Mike Hoffman.
Take him. He's yours. I wasn't going to take him.
Give me Mike Hoffman and Palmer.
Okay. Now, I think I am going to hit exactly 11.5. Yes. All right. I know what you're thinking, guys. Like, okay, come on. Like, don't say Kucherov. I'm going to go Kucherov and Hudon. Kucherov, Hudon.
Nice.
11.5. I know, right? Like, I don't think anyone in the DFS industry has been playing Kucherov, heard of Kucherov, touting Kucherov. So I think I'm going to jump on the bandwagon while no one else is and just G-goal him. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, when you're a fish, you're a fish, and I'm just gonna say it. Also, we did have 2 ratings before we shut it down, but neither of them were singing. But I was still shout them out. The first one is from All Work, More Pay. Very clever. Great stuff to the daily NHL. Great stuff for a daily NHL DFS. Keep it going, guys. Next one from MODDED1, Modded. Great podcast for DFS players or hockey fanatics. Great recommendations. Oh, actually, no, good recommendations. But thank you. I'm not going to sing them because, yeah.
Yes, and also one last shout out. I just wanted to mention that Stephen Friend in the group meeting has been instrumental in getting the sim updated and automated on a daily basis. As you might remember, in October we had I believe it was like not our studio, but our hosting platform for websites reached out to Doug and said like, hey, you can't use this anymore because you have a free account and you're getting way too many people using our software on your site. So Doug was like, oh shit, like I have no idea what to do now. So Steven really stepped up and helped out big time with that. So to him, as long as the Morning Skate Pod lives on. So shout out to him in the group me when you see him around, just keep that in mind. Great dude. And so
a real friend.
God, I hate DJ so much.
Beep, beep, beep.
Yes, the show has disconnected. So, anyways, hopefully we'll get Doug back soon, but just understand he's super busy and got a dog and living the life. So if you want to hear his takes, just check out the sim because that boy and his sim loves it to death. Really, really good material. So check that out on a daily basis at morningskatepod.com and follow us on Twitter at morningskatepod if you don't already. Anything else you want to add before we head off?
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'll echo that sentiment. Find me on Fantasy Labs on Sunday. I'll have an article up for that smaller slate.
Or don't.
So yeah, I mean, don't.
You can follow me on Twitter too, and you can just laugh at all of my. I'm really thinking about starting. You know what? I'm gonna say one more thing before we sign off. I have one friend that just doesn't care about sports at all. It's amazing. And I don't think I've ever envied anyone more than after like all of my teams stab me in the heart every day. Like I'm finally realizing like how much better my life would be. Like I'd still play DFS. And like just if I didn't care about actual sports. Is that bad?
No, but it's funny.
Okay. But we can stop.
That's good stuff.
All right.
That's good stuff.
All right. Go Sabres. Go in the game on Monday. All right. Bye.
All right. From Doug, from DJ, from myself, have a slate, everybody, and we will see you.